Alright, so today we're going to look at how to translate a sentence in Latin. And one of the things to remember is that Latin does not have word order the way that modern sentences do in Spanish or English. So we're going to look at a good technique for how you can look at the grammar in a Latin sentence and use that to translate the sentence. So to start with, we're going to just write beneath each word the definition in English of the word. And again, we're not translating anything yet, we're just looking at what each word means so that when we are ready to translate, we have those there. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to identify your verbs in your sentence, and I like to draw a box around them since they're very important and a lot of your sentence hinges on that. And then once you've identified your verb, there's only one in this sentence, you're going to look at its ending and use the ending to figure out what the verb is doing. This particular verb ending is nt, so we know that it's a third person plural verb, and we know that because it corresponds to our conjugation chart. Next, we're going to look at our nouns, and we have a lot of nouns in this sentence, so we're going to do the same thing we did with our verbs and look at their endings. And our noun endings are also going to tell us what part of speech each of our nouns is taking in the sentence. For this particular noun, canis, then it has an es ending, and it's a third declension noun, so I'm going to write that up here. And then I'm going to look at where there are third declension es endings in my third declension chart. There's actually two options for this noun. The noun can either be nominative plural, or it can be accusative plural. So I don't know yet which case it is, but I'm going to look at my other nouns and try to eliminate some options and come back to that later. My next noun is pueri. Pueri is a second declension noun, so I'm going to look at my second declension chart. And this also has two options. It can be a nominative plural noun or a genitive singular noun. So again, I'm going to write these two options down and come back to what it could be later. And my last noun is urbe. This is a third declension noun. Unfortunately, in my third declension chart, there's only one option this time, so this noun has to be ablative singular. We'll circle ablative singular so that we remember that this absolutely has to be the case it is in this sentence. Now we're going to look back at our other nouns, and since we've looked at them all, we're going to try to see what they might be doing in the sentence. Remember that our verb is third person plural, which means its subject must be they. So we need to look for what could be a plural noun in the sentence. There's two options, dog and boy, and they both could be nominative plural according to their endings. However, if we look at their other options, this could also be accusative, whereas this could be genitive. The genitive in Latin is used to indicate possession, and there's nothing in this sentence that a genitive word can be modifying. So I know this can't be genitive. It has to be nominative, and therefore it has to be my subject. We'll indicate this by drawing a circle around the word. Now that I've done that, I can look at what canis is doing in the sentence. I know it can't be nominative because I already have a subject, and I only have one verb in this sentence, so it only needs one subject. Therefore, it has to be accusative because that's the only remaining option. The accusative case is the direct object in Latin, so I'm going to write do next to dog to remind myself that it's accusative plural. My last noun is urbe, which only has one option, ablative, as we talked about earlier. The adjective is used the ablative is used for the object of the preposition in Latin, so I'll write op here. That also means it needs to have a preposition before that. Fortunately, it does. This is per urbe. I'll underline that sentence to remind me that they're going together. And now I've identified all the parts of speech that are in my sentence. Finally, I'm ready to translate the sentence, and I'm going to do this by using everything I've just learned about what each word is doing as a part of speech. We're going to start with the subject, boys, so the boys. Now my verb, carry. Now my direct object, the dogs. And finally, this prepositional phrase, through the city. And that's how you translate a sentence in Latin.